Right, hello there YouTube. So it's been a while, I haven't done a video in a long time, so I thought, as we've got this Audi S3, this is Rob's Audi S3, looks pretty much stock, doesn't it? It doesn't really look like much is going on, which is kind of the view, kind of the way he's looking for. So this is an Audi S3 1.8 turbo, as you can tell by the name. It used to be on a JBS setup, so it is a high turbo, had the what injectors there, stock injectors and a few other bits. No, it didn't. 440cc injectors, a few other little bits on it, and it was making a nice, consistent around 300 brake. Wasn't like a a road ripper, but it was all right. So now, well, he's coming to me and he says, "Phil, I want some more power." So obviously the first thing we had to do, because he's already at 300 brake, so we had to build the engine. So the engine went off to Midland VW, and it had, well, underwent a full build. So we're talking rods, pistons, valve train. It had a lot done. They've done a really good job, and it's nice and tidy. So then he brought it back to me on the same turbo, ran it up again, and we were pretty much flat out on what it was. I mean, I think they had the turbo redone a little bit, see if they could get any more out of it. And it was never going to go, it's never going to reach the goals that Rob kind of wanted. So, back to the drawing board for power wise, back to Midland VW, and now we have this. So, at the minute, it looks quite standard, which is the kind of look he went, but we're actually running a Nortec manifold with a, if you can see down there, but we've got a Garrett G25 660 turbo. It's running a external wastegate from Turbo Smart, which we can't see. It's running the standard N75 and bits and bobs like that. So now we've got this. So first of all, what I've got to do is obviously change out the fueling, because we want about 450 brake, which should be quite simple on this setup. So I've got to pull all this apart, pull the injectors out, and then I'm going to put in some 750s from CP Fueling. Their injectors are really good. I always get all my injectors from CP Fueling. They work really well, they come balanced, they're all flow checked and everything else. They come with everything you need for the voltages and whatever else. And most of all, they're cheap. They're a lot cheaper than a lot of other places, so it's always the place I seem to go to first. They come with the, you can have, I'll show you when it comes to the video, but you can have the clips or the pigtails. In this case, I've gone for pigtails. I like to solder them in. I don't like the clips. I've had a few bad things in the past where they break up inside and they don't work very well. So I always wire these in. So I'm going to wire the new plugs in for his injectors, which is quite simple. There's only 2 wires on each injector, so it's nothing too strenuous. It's on a standard airbox, as you can possibly see. It's even got the brake, even got the battery cover, all the bits. Rob's cars are always really nice and tidy. I mean, this is an Audi S3, it's all strapped down already. We've already checked it, gone over the smoke test and everything else, make sure it's all sealed up. Changed a few pipes, but everything else seems to be alright. So, nice and tidy, as you can see. Even inside, so it's one of Rob's cars. He looks after his cars. He's got many cars. This is just another one to his fleet. So, I'm going to start pulling this apart then. So, back in a minute, I'm going to turn the other camera on. I'm all set up. And I'm going to change the injectors. Going to pull apart his scuttle panel, unfortunately for him. All this has got to come off because I'm actually going to tune this on the emulator. I can't be bothered to keep flashing and logging today, so I'm just going to plug the emulator straight in and tune it off the emulator. A lot faster for me. It's still got a few stop pipes and things like that, which is going to crip me back a bit, but I'll see what it do. I'll set it up for him, make it faster than it is now, and then see how we get on with it. Right then, here we go. So these are the old 440cc injectors which we're going to pull out. He's actually already running the clips, which I don't like. So swapping those out for some wiring jobs. So what I've got to do is pull apart this loom, get to the wires, chop these plugs off, whip the injectors out. They've got like a clip, you pop the metal clip off to pop them off, so they've got a rubber inside, and then I'll start building up the new ones. So I'll be back in a minute. So we've prepped all the wires. So with the injectors, you basically have a constant live and a switchable earth. So the injector will pulse the earth for the injectors to, the ECU will pulse the earth for the injectors to switch on. So they're all prepped up and ready to go. What I've got to do now is going to get the injectors, get the clips, get them wired in, get it all soldered up, taped up, get the injectors popped in there, and then away we go. Now I've just got to pull apart the car to obviously set up the emulator. So next stage. So here are the injectors. So we've got obviously CPU fueling, 750 EV14 Bosch injectors. We've got a set of wiring clips, so obviously for the wires, and then it also gives you the Bosch EVC rundown of the injectors. So it's the injector size is based on pressure, so the pressure is regulated by obviously the fuel pressure regulator on the rail here. We're running a 3-bar. Yep. So we're running a 3-bar fuel pressure reg. So at 3-bar, these injectors run 750cc. So if we run a 4-bar pressure reg, our injectors will be classed as 880cc. And then obviously 5 bars, 950. But obviously it all depends on what fuel pump you're running, to what pressure you can sustain for periods of time, etc. So in this case, we've actually got an uprated fuel pump in, but we're actually going to run it on a 3-bar, because 750cc will be plenty for us. So I've got my voltages for the 750cc, which I'm going to put into the ECU when I'm ready, and then we'll get cracking. So let's get these wired in. Let's go. Right, so we're all wired up. Now I've just got to do these injectors. I'll pop the injectors out. Now and again you'll get one where the end seal gets stuck inside the rail, inside these little holes here. It's normal, just get a little screwdriver, pop them out. Right, so these are the new bad boys, 750cc's. So all I'm going to do is just put a bit of grease around the top and the bottom of the seals, just to keep them nice and lubed up, and then we'll pop them back in. Right, now we're all wired up, we're all plugged in. All I've got to do now is pop on these little clips onto the back of the injectors to make sure they don't pop out. It just keeps them inside the rail, and then we're good to go. Strip the car down, start mapping. Right, let's go. So all the injectors are in. Just going to crank it over a few times once more set up on the emulator. So I've took off obviously all the crap that goes in the back of the engine, opened up the ECU. The ECU just sits there. I'm going to run my emulator here, so I'm going to clean the windscreen off a little bit. So just need to get my emulator out, get that all wired up, and then we can begin. Let's go. So excuse the mess, but this is a standard ECU which I use to run the emulator off. What basically happens is here, if I can put this down, here there used to be a PSOP 44 chip, so a chip with 44 pins. What I do is desolder that. I need to clean this board up a bit, it's been used quite a few times. Solder again, clean that up. So we unsolder that, solder on a 44 pins individually, and then insert this, then this bit here plugs into the old 300 emulator, and then I can live tune it. That's the only way you can live tune these. The only other way is obviously to flash and log, which is the usual way. So I'm just going to set this up. I'm going to clean this board off a bit because I haven't used it for a while. It seems to have got a bit dusty. I also don't want anything to break, so I'm just going to clean that up, pull it back together, put the emulator on, get it plugged in, and off we go. Come on, Fabian, do you want to tune this one up?
Yeah, so it's an engine in there.
Definitely an engine.
Rapid.
Yeah.
Really nice piping actually.
Quite nice pipe work, yeah.
Oh, you know what, I missed that bit there, all them pipes which
yeah, that we had to get rid of. Yeah. It's a lot nicer like that.
It looks cleaner.
That would do me, you know, red, black, red.
Yeah, that's really starting to hurt me.
Yeah, that's
I think you should leave that there as well.
What, permanently?
Yeah.
Just run it off that?
Don't need the wipers, to be fair.
Yeah. So roll in, roll on. Just got Fabian there looking for leaks on the old injectors. I've just put in my old battery offsets as per CP fueling, and I'm just going to have a look. It's not leaking here. Fault codes, all of them. Oh, none. So far so good. Still a bit cold, let it warm up. Just going to go through and check all the logs. So we've got maths running, fine, engine coordinates fine. On the emulator, so obviously it's a lot faster. Let it warm up. Right, so still waiting for it to warm up. Still waiting for Fabian to come back from the toilet, and then we can start doing some pulls. But so far so good. My metal trims are pretty much bang on. I'm running my 750 base map anyway, so it's one I've made before on this, but it's on a different turbo. So what I'm going to do for the first couple of pulls is I'm just going to run it off boost. So on wastegate duty only. I think there's about 10% against the spring, so I might just take that off too. So run on wastegate only, running in dev mode just so I can see where we are with the turbo, and then I know when to bring the fuel in, based on obviously the spool and everything else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to back the timing off 2. So go back to timer maps. There we go. So I'm going to stock all the time in. I don't want any strain on the engine at all. Set the gate. I'll set to like 1% just so I can find the table. Makes it easier for me to find. So it's 1% on there. So boost is going to run pretty much nothing. I'm going to watch the fuel tables so I can set up my fuel tables and such. But in a minute we're good to go. I'm happy with that. Let's go wait for him, get the camera rolling, get her running, see where we are. So we're all set up, ready to go. Fabian's on the camera. So Rob run 1, just going to run it. I'm watching fuel, mass, throttle, ignition and boost to see what's cracking on. So it's going to do his first run, see where we are. Don't forget we're on 1% duty. There we go, run number 1. Pretty much wastegate pressure. We're at 282 brake at 246 foot-pounds. Obviously not really doing a lot. Good starting point. Just going to go over the logs. So lambda control is looking quite rich from 3k onwards, so I'm going to pull some fuel out of that. Engine speed good, throttle angle good, timing pretty good, 22.5 with no pull. Intake air temp 37, not the best. That might be what kills us off. Boost pressure, I'm on gate, so I'm at 850 millibar. So far so good. Spool looks quite good actually. We're at peak boost here by 3.7. So punchy turbo, exactly what I wanted for this setup. So far so good. So what I'm going to do now is going to pull some fuel out and do another run. I'm not going to change anything in the boost just yet. So I'll pull some fuel out just to tidy this up, and then we'll run again and see how much closer I am, and then start adding a bit more boost and timing to set this car up. So I'll come back to you in a few moments while I do that. Right, I've done a few more pulls now. I'm down to 10% on the pull, so I'm going to leave it there just for now, and I'm going to start bringing the boost in. I'm at 280 brake still. Not much has changed. I'm going to start bringing some boost in and start seeing some changes. So how we get on. I'm going to bring some boost in first, leave the time in stock, just so I don't put too much weight on the engine at first, just to see. I just want to see what the boost is doing, when I can spool it and everything else. And then I'm going to bring in some time in, just to neaten that up a little bit, because not pulling any time in yet, so I've still got more time than I can do, as well as boost. So let's start stepping it in, start working this through. Right, we're up to a bar boost. Comes in at 3.8. So we're still around the same kind of position on the spoiler. We're at 305 brake horse, 251 at the wheels, at 266.5 foot-pound. It's still quite low. I'm not too happy about the spring that's in it. So I'm up to a good 30% duty and it's still creeping in. I prefer a 1 bar spring on this, I think, just to get me somewhere nearer. Transient fuel, lambda and everything else is all okay. I'm not really having any issues with the fuel side at all. Intake air isn't great. It's quite a warm day today. It's 21 degrees in the cell. And there's Matthew Armstrong waving, saying hello. So I'm going to bring up the boost a little bit more, see where I am. I might be putting a stop to it today just because of the temperatures, and then see how we get on. Might be a case of sticking the new intercooler on. I'd rather be safe than sorry. So obviously if it's getting too hot on the road and stuff, I don't really want none of that, so see how we get on. Right, another run, another, just touching just over a bar. So at 322 brake, 285 foot-pound, so that's quite nice. Nice curves, it's following each time. I'm only adjusting boost at this point, and I've just pulled 5% out of the fuel at the top just to take a bit of that chunk out. Now running in single digits, which is good. So if I just pull up the log, so running single digits. The only thing that bothers me at the minute is his intake temps. We're actually running at 50 degrees at 6,480 RPM. So I'm not too happy about that. I've also got, so we're only pulling 4.7. So we're in single digits on the fuel, which is good. I'll probably leave it around about there. I don't really want to go too mad with it. -7, -3. So that's pretty good. Fuel's all set up as we are. Ignition is still quite low. I haven't added any yet still. 13.5, 16.5 peak. So I'm not adding any more ignition yet, but the only problem is my intake temps. I'm at 52 at 6,680 RPM, which isn't great. I'm still relatively low boost on a big turbo like this. I'm at 1.1 bar. So not sure what to do with this. I might see if I can sit it around 350 then stop, and then see if we can source another intercooler for it and then come back to it another day. I've still got fuel's done. I've still got timing to chuck in, so if I wanted to I could add a bit more boost, see what that does. If it ramps up the intake temps too much, I'll pull a bit of boost out, add a bit of ignition time in, and just see if I can get a nice balance between the two, and then call it a day for today, just to get some more temperatures in. Doesn't help that it's 24 degrees intake air in the room today, which doesn't help. It ticks over about 45 degrees, so I don't think the intercooler's that great, to be honest. So, but we'll see. So I'm going to add a bit more boost. Feels all nice, so I'm happy to do that. I'm going to chuck a bit more boost in it, see what she does. See what intake temps I'm kind of getting, and then I'll go from there. So I'm going to add a bit more boost and let's do another run. turbo run, about 340 brake at 304 foot-pounds at 1.4 bar. And we're hitting a good 54 degrees now with the dyno turned right down, so I've sped the run up so it doesn't get as hot, but it still gets hot. So intercooler isn't going to be any good for this setup, unfortunately. It's actually poured a bit of ignition time in there because of the heat. So I think that's about it for today. Unfortunately, I wanted to see somewhere around about 400 for him just to get this somewhere near, but I'm not going to force the engine into places it doesn't want to be. I'm still running on stock timing, so I'm going to pull the boost slightly and add a couple of degrees of timing just to balance it out, keep it safe for him. He can go away now. A few bits I want to change. I want to change the spring in the wastegate, it's way too soft. I want to add a catch can because I had to divert the PCV into open space, which isn't ideal for inside the car. You might smell it on the odd day. And then I also want to change the intercooler and probably change the intake pipes as well. I don't want the turbo to push against any restrictions in the intake track, so I'm going to change all the pipes on the intercooler too. And then we'll go again. So this will be a part 2. This is part 1. I've set the fueling up. I've mildly set the boost up 50%. I'm knocked that back to 45, and I'm on stock timing still. So next time you sit with me, hopefully I've got a better intercooler. I'm sitting at 48 degrees, a bit crap. So hopefully I've got a better intercooler on it, some better intake pipes, and then we can hit this one again and see some good figures out of it. There's no point forcing these cars into doing what they don't want to do. If they don't make it easy, then don't force it. There's obviously something restricting you. In this case, it is the intercooler and probably the stock intercooler pipes as well. So anything like that isn't going to help. I might even have a look at the intake as well. It looks a bit retro, and then we'll go from there, hit this another day and get it all finished for Rob. So thanks for sitting for this video. I'll make a lot more videos now. Now we're back on it, and I've got Matthew in there, hopefully helping with the editing. So I get a lot more videos out, so if you enjoyed that, please like and subscribe. I'll try and get on this more often, start getting some more videos out to you guys. So thanks guys.
I was on the bench. First I was renting, now I'm collecting rent. First it with the Beamer, now I want the Benz. Spending all the bag like here I go again. Outside says chirp, now the camera phone. Told you I'ma keep the channels on. Why you acting different when the camera's on?